to Shoot Time in the Morning with Mitch. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are so glad to be back with you here on Volume 2 of Shoot Time in the Morning. So, we are here teaching in a digital learning environment because of the shelter in place. We understand it's difficult for you, it's difficult for us, it's a whole new world. So, we're just going to make through and we're going to talk a little bit about the protocols of what happens in class and then give you some great information here about the human body. First and foremost, you guys did great last week, way to go. If we have a situation where your computer isn't able to always hold and lag, stay on the call at all times. It will constantly try to reboot and patch you back in there. So don't worry about that, but stay on the call. If you get to a point where you can't hear us because your internet is frozen or ours lags a little bit, still stay on the call at all times. Make sure your mic is muted. We can see you, and we can see you intermittently coming in and out if you have a problem on your end. But go ahead and go right to today's videos, which you found this very video in, all right? We're going to always get some sort of exercise in. Right now we're starting with yoga. It's good movement for the body, all right? It'll loosen you up. Some of you guys have said that flexibility was the most challenging thing about the entire workout that we did last week. So get some flexibility and some movement in. Also bringing some balance and getting you out of your seat moving just kind of as a warm-up. And then you'll have these videos which are intended to bring you all the information that we want you to learn, but done so in an area where you can always access it and where you can have access to it hosted outside of the digital transfer in the sense of from us online to you. So if your computer's having troubles or you can't log on to the call, you can always go to YouTube and find these videos, and this will be the information for you. All right. Lastly, we're going to have a brief workout. Just like every PE class, you got to do building of the muscle. I'm going to talk about that shortly, how we do it, but you saw an example of the 7-minute scientific workout. We'll have one of those. If you do that properly, you will be sweating at the end. All right? That is normal. Your body heat goes up because of the effort that you're putting out. You're building muscle. All right? You're loosening up everything. And you're going to start to sweat. Once again, remember, sweat is the way that the body self-regulates. Self-regulates. All right? Your body uses the water. Your body is mostly water. Your body uses the water in its body, produces sweat from the sweat glands on the skin. That sweat evaporates. When that sweat evaporates, it takes the heat from your body with it. Now, also remember, one byproduct of that is bacteria likes to waste products in your sweat. So bacteria will then accumulate on your skin. That's easily solved by cleaning yourself, taking a shower. All right? If the sweat then evaporates or you let it go and you let it dry naturally and you don't shower, what happens is you still have the bacteria on your skin. So the next time you sweat, you'll have double the amount of bacteria and you'll start to develop a body odor. All right? None of us like that. So that's why we will build in every time after you guys work hard, time for you to shower. All right? You're going to go in the shower, rinse yourself off, and this is a serious part of class, ladies and gentlemen. You need to clean yourself after you work hard. Ask your parents. Every day they shower, all right? If you have a parent who goes for runs or rides bikes or goes to the gym in a normal situation under a normal circumstance, you can bet that they shower, all right? Make sure you clean yourself. It's a very important time in life. It is very hot. If you saw last week, it was very hot up in the 105s. All right, sometimes people sweat and they shower 2 to 3 times a day. But you should always shower at least once a day, and then if you work out and produce an immense amount of sweat, make sure you shower there. Okay? So, glad to see you back. We're going to get right into some review of what we had last time, and we're going to keep going with knowledge of our body. First and foremost, we talked about the body being a plethora of systems, all right? The main one that keeps us upright is called our skeletal system, which consists of your skeleton, all the bones in your body, and if your body didn't have that, you'd be a pool of organs on the ground. So that keeps us upright. Now, the way those skeletons, those bones move is via our muscles. All the bones in your body are connected at joints. And wherever there is a joint, there are muscles that are responsible for moving the bones about those joints. All right, the first video we talked about the trapezius. Remember, the trapezius runs from your shoulder up to your neck. It's responsible for lifting the shoulder girdle in an, I don't know, fashion. All right, so anytime you lift your shoulder, all right, that is the trapezius working. Now, one thing to tell you at this point is sometimes there are movements that utilize what are called compound movements. That means if I lift something up and move my arm in a certain way, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 joints moving, 3 joints moving in different exercises. It's possible to get multiple muscles working at once. But we'll talk about that once you learn the muscles. I just want you to be aware of that. Now, there are different types of joints, and the joint that we're going to learn about today and the muscle that use it is a different type of joint called a ball and socket joint. Okay? You have your arm, which we all know where our arms are, go all the way down from our fingertips up to just below our shoulders. All right? They have a ball that sticks into a socket right here at both shoulders. What that allows our arm to do is move in many different directions. We can move our arms outwards towards, away from our body rather, all right? We can move them up above our head. But the key thing about the arm is you can move it around an entire 360-degree circle, okay? Both arms, all right? So if you're a swimmer, maybe doing the backstroke or doing the forestroke, or you're a player throwing a ball, baseball, football, whatever it is, all right? Anytime that your arm moves at the shoulder joint, that is your shoulder ball and socket being manipulated. Now, the shoulder, because it is a ball and socket that can move in multiple directions, is a unique muscle. It is called the deltoid. D-E-L-T-O-I-D, deltoid. It is a three-headed muscle. There are deltoids, the front or anterior deltoid. There is the lateral deltoid on the side, and then there is the rear head of the deltoid in the back of the body. And all that basically is for, it's the same one muscle with 3 heads. It allows you to bring the arm in front from the anterior deltoid to the side with the lateral deltoid. And then if you're bending over, if I were to pick up my backpack and hand it to somebody in a bent over position, the rear, all right, that's the rear deltoid. So that is all the deltoid, and really you just need to know that it is the deltoid, but know that it's on the front, the side, and the rear. And how we work that is a matter of 2 different things, all right? You can use any motion that the arm does and add resistance to it, and that will work the muscle. So I'm going to use my backpack, because this is something I think you guys all have at home, all right? If I have a backpack by my side, and I lift it outwards to my side all the way while keeping my arm straight, see my arm is straight, that is working directly the lateral head of my shoulder. So just like that, all the way up, that's the lateral head. If I do it in the front, it's working the front head or anterior, right? And if I bend over and I do it now to the side, the impetus changes to my rear deltoid. All right, so 3 motions can do that with raises, and additionally, one big one is, usually we use a barbell, you can use your backpack. If you were to just put your backpack over your head, push it up and down, all right, that also works the deltoid muscle in conjunction with some other muscles that we will learn shortly. So, today's deltoid, 3-headed muscle, working the shoulder joint. Now, what we're going to do is, when we get to working out and we start introducing these weight style workouts, all right, you're going to do 3 sets of 10. And just to explain repetitions again, however many times you do an exercise in one sitting is a repetition. So if I grab this backpack and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've just done 5 repetitions. Now, whoo, I'm tired. I'm going to take a break. That's 1 set. So we want you to do 3 sets of 10 individual repetitions. All right, so today's muscle of the day, deltoid. Remember, we learned the trapezius from the neck to the shoulder. The actual shoulder muscle is called the deltoid. Mr. Mitchell?
So, talking about what's going on at school now, okay? So as you know, because of COVID, none of you are here. And because of that fact, we, the teachers, are trying to set up these videos so that you have something that you can come and watch and get a good workout. Now, in reality, we would have loved to have had you here in front of us. We would have loved to have been out on the fields, maybe doing a soccer unit, or on the blacktop doing a volleyball unit, or in the gym doing a badminton unit. But as you well know, we're stuck right now in COVID, and we cannot come to school. Well, the teachers can, but you can't. So, in the meantime, we, your teachers, just want to thank you for your last week. You guys did great. I understand what happened with the triangles and the corners, and the fact that we'd lose sight of you for a second, then you'd come back in again. And I know a lot of teachers had the exact same problem. And to tell you the truth, when you guys were coming out and then all of a sudden you'd flash right back in and there you were working out as hard as you could, it gave me a really, really good feeling. I knew you were trying as hard as you could. And that's the key. You got to keep thinking about trying as hard as you can. Because these videos that we are going to show you, we're going to change some of them up. We're going to change our video up all the time. But the yoga video, you might have to do that yoga video like 4 or 5 or 6 times before we change it. And the key is to go after that video as hard as you did the first time. You go after it as hard as you can, even the 6th time or the 7th time. You just keep going for it as hard as you can. And if you do that with your participation grade, you're all going to get a really, really good grade. Because that's really what we're asking you to do. We're asking you to just try as hard as you can and to participate in whatever videos we are going to show you. Mr. Mortimer?
Really quick, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell is absolutely right. The bottom line is, what you're doing now, you're going to start wherever you are. All right? You're going to get better day by day. You're going to be just a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. That's called the rule of progressive overload. Keep the same intensity. You know what? It may be difficult for you to do right now, but after 2, 3, 4 times doing it, you start to get easier and easier. That doesn't mean you should enjoy the easiness of it. Always try to constantly challenge yourself. And he's absolutely right. What we ask for is just for you to give a great effort and participate and try. That's really what we're grading you on right now, because we understand we're in this situation. So, if you're sitting around and not doing anything, unfortunately, you're going to get the grade that you earned. But just give it your best shot, be HR squared, and keep on pushing.
And let me just say one more thing. What Mr. Schumann is absolutely correct in that it should get easier the 2nd time, and maybe a little bit easier the 3rd time, especially with things like flexibility and yoga where you're really tight and it's very hard to get into that position. The next time, maybe you can get it there a little bit quicker, or it's a little bit easier. And the same thing with like weights and push-ups. Maybe you had a hard time doing like 5, and the next time, those 5 aren't really hard to do. They're hard, but they weren't as hard as the first time. And that's because your muscles have memory. And when you work them out, they remember, and they get stronger the more times you do it.
All right, thanks, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Shoemake. Get this, Chris. Masks are important. You notice that we all have masks on. We are 6 feet distance. Notice the signs. Every time I turn around, it seems like Mr. Shoemake or Mr. Mitchell, we're all squirting that stuff on our hand, stuff that clean your hand, washing our hands. We're not touching our face. We're trying to abide by the rules, right? So, that's the #1 way to keep the virus from spreading. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Cover your face. Having said that, during this time of COVID-19, it could be worse, guys. Right, guys? This could be a lot worse. There are many people who have died from this. We don't want that to happen. That's why we want you to follow the rules. Now, you're in your house or your apartment, wherever you may live. Remember, your attitude is the most important thing. Like I said in one other video, attitude determines altitude. Your attitude is going to take you as far as you're going to go. So if you're a complainer and whiner and excuse maker, no one's going to want to be around you. But if you're a problem solver, then people are going to want to be around you. And Mr. Shoemake and Mr. Mitch and I, we want to dose some humor on you, but also, as you heard Mr. Shoemake share, we're going to get detailed. We want to educate you during this time. Remember this saying, poop rolls downhill. Plan accordingly. You might say, my life right now is just so crazy. It's like poop rolling down. Well, plan accordingly. Make some adjustments. Don't get rolled over. And treat your parents and your siblings with respect and honor and dignity. It's just like HR squared. Hey guys, one last question. We'll start with Mr. Mitchell. I'll go. Mr. Shoemake, you finish us off. Your favorite and then least favorite food, Mr. Mitchell. Your favorite, then least favorite food.
Favorite food. I'd have to say, Mr. Mornway, I love a good steak. A good, juicy, blood rare steak.
Blood rare. What's your favorite cut there, Mr. Mitchell?
I like a good ribeye. I think a good ribeye is you get that bone in that good ribeye.
Mr. Mitchell, you get the bone up and on it?
I've done that before. I'll pick that steak up with my bare hands. Oh, yeah.
What restaurant has the best steak that you've ever tasted?
I think Ruth Chris has a really, really good steak. I really like Ruth Chris.
What's your least favorite food, Mr. Mitchell? Least favorite?
Brussels sprout. Oh, I love Brussels sprout. I hate those Brussels sprouts.
Well, I hate to be a copycat, but my favorite food is a big, thick steak as well. I don't really like, what did you say?
Ribeye.
Ribeye, because it has a lot of fat in there, but I know that gives it flavor. I like it like a little bit more lean steak, maybe a New York, something of that nature. My least favorite food, I like a lot of food. But my least...
He likes a lot of food.
He does like a lot of food.
Well, I mean, you can tell. My least favorite food is probably more the pickle type foods. But beyond that, the cabbage stuff, I just do not like. If a plate comes with cabbage, you'll always see me take it off. I just don't like cabbage. Mr. Shoemake?
Well, most of my students out there who have you now that had me last year know, and you guys that are just getting to know me, know that I love seafood. As of late, what I have liked the most is, and we're talking about before shutdown, is sushi. I love sushi. It's delicious. Now, the problem is a lot of these restaurants aren't open, and I'm missing sushi greatly, but I absolutely love sushi. And above all, I think sake is the best sushi. Salmon, that's the salmon, the raw salmon, just on the right, the nigiri. I love sushi. But I also like all types of food. I like Persian food. I like kebab pugide. I do like steak. But sushi right now is the go-to food for me. As far as least favorite food, I didn't like Brussels sprouts until I had crunchy Brussels sprouts. It doesn't mean I like them, but I can eat them. They're edible. The worst things to me are, I just don't like beets. Beets taste like dirt to me, and also celery has a very zany, tangy aftertaste that I just can't stand either. So beets and celery are probably very, 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 very low on my list. But I do like vegetables. My favorite vegetable is broccoli.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. So, remember how we end this? Roll call.
And remember why we showed up. It's to build healthy relationships by being HR squared. Honesty, respect, responsibility.
All right, push on 3, push on